Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to some PC building simulator here for the second episode, I guess you could say, of this new little series I've started on my channel. Last episode we rebuilt, I guess you could say, my actual gaming PC from real life in this game with a couple minor changes. If you missed that video, I'll link it down below in the description if you want to go check it out. But at the end of that video I mentioned I wanted to do a Skylake build for the next episode, and I spent some time kind of thinking about what I want to do, because like I stated in last video, this game does not have every component and doesn't have a lot of H170 Skylake motherboards in this game. In fact, I'll show you. If we go to the motherboards, we scroll down here, you'll see these are like the only H170 chipset boards in the game. So my original goal was to build like an accurate Skylake build with parts from like 2015 that were released with like around the time the 6700K came out. I can't really do that as much as I'd want to in this game, so I've decided I'll just build a PC with a 6700K and a 980 Ti, top of the line Skylake build, as relative to the time as I can make it while also looking good at the same time, which means we are not going to be using an H170 board. We're going to opt to use a Z270 chipset instead. Case wise, I don't really know what I'm going to do just yet. We're going to kind of look through some of these cases. I was going to use this case. This is the Corsair Obsidian Series 750D. But I want to save this case for a different build, I think, because this is actually one of my favorite cases. When I first was getting into PCs back in like 2014, 2013, this is the case I wanted to get for my build, but I didn't have the money back then, so I never got it. But I kind of want to use a different case. I'll use a case at least that is more from the era of the 6700K and Skylake itself. So I think we'll just use the S340, because I believe this case came out in 2014, which was about, I think, a year before Skylake came out. I know the 6700K came out, I think, in June of 2015 alongside the 980 Ti, I think. So this is the case we are going to use, and something cool I'll probably be doing is filling up these workbenches with some of the PCs we use, and once we get these all filled up, we'll take the good old Mesh 5C build and put it over here. Be kind of like the centerpiece of this little workbench area. And as we build more, we'll have to take some down and put them in the storage closet, which actually has a lot of my personal free build computers in there that I've built off recording as well. But this is the case we're going to use, the S340, and I'm probably just going to use, I don't know if any of these parts were released alongside the 6700Ks, so I'm just probably going to use a little color theme. Basically, we'll just use red. Red will be our color theme, because the only 980s in this game, if I come to show you, are MSI branded 980 Ti's. They do have this golden edition, but we'll probably just overclock this one here, or actually, sorry, this one here, to match this one. It's not too far off in terms of core frequency, so I'll probably just overclock this one slightly to match this one, because I'm not too big of a fan of the color scheme here. So like I said, we're going to go with using a Z270 motherboard, just because it'll work a little better. But let's go ahead and put a power supply in here. We're gonna go a little bit overkill on this one. We're gonna put a 1000-watt power supply in this thing, even though it's definitely not required. In fact, since it's not actually required, I think I'll just throw in an 850-watt, just to be safe. We'll use this EVGA Supernova 850. I forgot to take off this PSU mount. But Skylake was pretty cool. I remember I really wanted a PC back in I wanted a PC ever since like 2013, pretty much, like an actual gaming desktop. I never really had a chance to, and one of my friends from high school actually got his first desktop PC built when he graduated or was going to graduate. So he went with a Skylake build, a 6700K with a 970. A decent pairing, I guess you could say. I was so jealous of him back then, and now we basically have a very similar system. He has a 1070 Ti from MSI with a 6700K, and I have a 1070 Ti from ASUS with a 2700X. So we have pretty similar builds, we also both have the Mesh 5C as well, which is pretty cool. Moving on, we're gonna throw some storage in here. Throw in a good old fashioned 2 terabyte hard drive for games here. And we're gonna go and throw in as well a 240 gig Patriot Burst SSD. Actually, since we're going with the red theme, let's throw in the same type of SSD from my build, and we'll actually just throw in 2 of them. This is a higher end Skylake build, so I'm pretty sure the person that could theoretically build this could have 2 SSDs, 240 SSDs. They're probably a little more expensive back then than they are now, but that is completely fine. Case fans, I want to just go with red LED fans. Nothing too crazy with RGB or anything. It's not really needed for a Skylake build. So I think I'm also gonna do shoot, I kind of want to do liquid cooling, but I don't think I will for this build. I'm gonna stick with the red theme. So let's just throw in some of these Fractal Design red LED fans for this build. It's be more of like a red themed build, air cooled, because 6700K can be air cooled. In fact, my friend originally had a Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo cooling his 6700K. I haven't messed with overclocking, and even with my 200 hours in this game, I haven't really messed with overclocking on the CPUs, but that's something I want to get into with this series, is start experimenting with overclocking in this game. I think that'd be pretty cool. So we got our case fans installed into this PC. And I think for motherboards, since we're gonna go for a Z270 board, let's see. I think we'll stick with the Z270 from MSI, since we are gonna be putting an MSI graphics card in here. This will fit pretty well. Now, in terms of RAM, I don't necessarily think, because keep in mind I didn't build a PC back in this era, but I would imagine the RAM speed of like 2800 megahertz for DDR4 was pretty high end back then. I was pretty well versed in PC back then, but not as much as I am now. So back then, since I couldn't build one, I just built part lists all the time. Basically, my friend's build, he had 2400 megahertz RAM in his. So I think, and even with Skylake, you know, it's not like Ryzen where you really need the faster RAM to like do good. So since we're sticking with the red theme, oh, there's only a 4 gig stick of this. Are you serious? Well, that's kind of stupid. If I do this 2666, can I get like a red LED? I can do that. Okay, let's just use this red LED Patriot Viper. I don't know if this was a thing back when Skylake was a thing, but you know, we're just gonna use it anyways. Which one did I fucking use? This one? I think I used this one. Okay, yeah, that looks pretty good so far. Let's go ahead and drop in the 6700K into this bad boy, like so. Quad core hyper threaded processor, pretty nice. Now I think for the CPU cooler, if it was in the game, I would totally put the Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo that my friend had, but with the red LED, because I actually have one of those CPU coolers sitting over here in my drawer. But since that's not in this game, we will just use. Oh man, I can't use it, man. Damn, I can't use the cooler that I wanted to do. Well, that just sucks. That's just rather unfortunate that I can't really do what I wanted to do here, because this build wasn't really planned out like the last one was, which this kind of puts a damper on my plan here, man. Damn, I wanted the Cooler Master, the dual fan one that they have in this game. I don't know. I can just do this. I can show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Let me type in Cooler Master again, and yeah, this one. This is the 212 LED. Actually, funny enough, it's a turbo version. It won't fit in case because this case barely has support for it. Yeah, that sucks. That just That just sucks. So we're just gonna stick in your good old-fashioned master air pro. It's not exactly a Hyper 212, but honestly, it looks similar enough. But that's what we'll use. Kind of sucks. I really wanted that red LED CPU cooler, but it's fine. This is perfectly fine. I can confirm that the 212 Evo does work very well with the 6700K in terms of temperatures. And we'll drop in that 980 Ti like I had stated before. This one, I think it's this one right here. Yep, this one right here. And we're not going to go with red cables because this case itself isn't really red. Like, I could have went with a completely different case. I'll be doing some budget builds too that'll use some of the cheaper cases in this game as well. But this is specifically a Skylake based system right here. And that is exactly what we're putting together. Completely air cooled. Should be perfectly fine. Look at that. It's basically done. Let me go ahead and put on the rest of the parts. And then it's just time to install the operating system and all the other jazz that's needed and get this PC benchmarked. And we'll be comparing this PC to my current one, which is of course sitting right over to the left of us right now. Go ahead and stick on these last two side panels. Like so, bam. We have a completed, almost, PC. Let's go ahead and do a first boot on this thing. Nice, very red looking. Let's hop into the BIOS here and mess with a couple things. You see we got the 6700K showing up. Obviously it's going to show up because it's free build. Dual SSDs with the 2TB hard drive, 980 Ti. Everything is looking pretty darn solid right now. Let's just go ahead and apply this. Bam. There we go. That's the Skylake build for now. I kind of want to revisit this because it didn't exactly go how I wanted it to. So I'd like to revisit this and add like newer parts to it. Because this isn't really that crazy looking. Because this is just the standard Skylake build with a lot of red colors and stuff. But let's slap on some good old fashioned programs. And like I said, we are going to overclock this GPU. And everything should be pretty good. Let me add the last two programs here. Add this GPU tuner. And we'll add this stress testing program right here. Don't know what that stands for, but yeah, not too bad. Not as many jump cuts this video, most likely, because I've kind of been talking the whole time. But this is a little Skylake build. Nothing too crazy. I wasn't really going over the top with this one. I was trying to make it a little bit closer to the time frame of when Skylake released, but it's not bad. It looks pretty good. I mean, this kind of stands out. The CPU cooler kind of stands out because it's black and kind of like shitty, but it's okay. It's fine. So let's see everything. Let's make everything red because, you know, that's just what we need to do when we have a red build. Make everything red. Everything that we can, at least. Not too bad. Not a bad looking build. Turn the lights off, it might look a little bit better. Yeah, it looks a little bit better with the lights off. I wish they could throw in some like lighting going across the case when you have these on, but it's fine. It is fine. There we go. That is the Skylake build, basically. So now we need to pop in the overclock. And what I want to do first is I just want to see how much power draw this system draws. Non-overclock, so we can properly apply some voltage and then overclock it and hopefully not use too much of our power supply budget, as you could call it. So you're gonna let this infinite test run until your power draw basically stops. It reaches its max point of being stressed the hell out and running hot and using a lot of power, and we're gonna see just how much power this system actually draws. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut. Oh, okay, never mind. I don't have to cut because it looks like we're pulling 371 watts of power through this. It might be a little more with the 3D Mark program, but we'll see. So yeah, we can definitely pull in some nice overclocking on this GPU. So I'm just gonna give it +10, and I believe gotta look at the actual 980 Ti real quick. Let me look at this 980 Ti. So this is clocked at 1291 megahertz, 1291 megahertz. This one is not very far off, so we're gonna kind of push it a little bit. We're gonna push it to about 1305. That'll be fine. That's Actually, we can probably push this up. Let's just give this a 100 megahertz boost clock and give the memory, let's give it about a 50 megahertz boost clock on the memory. Just kind of see how this performs compared to the awesome build of mine here. I wouldn't say it's necessarily awesome per se, but it's not a bad build. You can see the cost difference. The pricing in this game, the way they price some of these parts, is a little weird. So don't really go by that very much when you're putting parts together in this game. But I'm gonna run a benchmark now on this thing, and we'll see how it stacks up to the score on this computer, which is 6,649. So let's go ahead and benchmark this thing. Alright, so the benchmarking is done, and as you can see on the Skylake build, we got a score of 5,702, and we go over to the Mesh 5C. My personal build, we got a score of 6,649, so a little bit better than the Skylake build, which is to be expected, because I believe the 1070 Ti, because we got a score of 5828 on the 980 Ti. 1070 Ti and 1070 itself is kind of close in terms of comparison to the 980 Ti, so that's not too bad at all though for a Skylake build. Like if you had this build right now, if you had a 980 Ti with a 6700K, you pushed a bit of an overclock on both CPU and GPU, you would still have a very relevant system even today. Like the 980 Ti still has 6 gigs of VRAM. That's enough for most games nowadays. Like games like Resident Evil 2 and Rainbow Six Siege, you might push that VRAM limit a little bit. I mean, it depends really on what you're trying to run. 1440p, 1080p might still be pretty, or 1080p will definitely still be in the cards for a 980 Ti, I believe. But 1440p will probably work fairly well on games, especially from its time. Nowadays, maybe not so much, but not a bad system to have even today. Like back then, this would have been like a dream build for me in 2015. Because I mean, the 970 or the 980 Ti was a beast back then. Even when my friend got his 970 build, which the 970, you know, it has about 3.5 gigs of VRAM, not quite 4. It's technically 4, but like the other 500 is like slower or something. 500 megabytes is like slower or something. I don't remember exactly what the whole controversy with the 970 exactly was, but the 970 itself, it was still a nice card. Like he was using that card, my friend, up until like the release of like Battlefront 2, I think, is when he got his 1070 Ti, I believe. I don't exactly remember off the top of my head, but that 970 not bad. So 980 Ti obviously will be quite a nice card today. I definitely will probably revisit the Skylake build. In fact, that might be what I use it for. That'll probably be what I use the Corsair 750D build for, is a crazy ass build for Skylake, or maybe just something else. I don't entirely know yet. Maybe I'll do my first water cooling build in that case. I honestly don't know. There's tons of stuff I can do with this game that is very, very exciting. But for now, we have the Skylake build. We got the my build, Mesh 5C. And next time, I don't really know what I'm going to do yet. There's tons of stuff I can do, like I've already said. I have literally no idea what exactly I want to build next. I mean, there's so many things you can do. Old systems, new systems, it's crazy. And there's going to be updates to this game too, adding in. There's just so much. There's so much I can do with this game, which is just so exciting. But if you guys have enjoyed this video, please let me know down below in the comments. I really enjoyed making these. I really liked making the last one. I loved making this one. Can't wait to do some more PC builds in this game because I can't afford to do it in real life. But that's going to be all from me for now. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.
2018 is a new year. I gotta keep grinding, I got nothing to fear. I gotta always steer clear of all the fakes, of all the people trying to drown me in the lake. I'm gonna keep riding, I'm gonna keep spinning. I'm the king around here. I don't know who you're dissing. If you don't check me out, you're really missing out on the #1 rapper while you're over there smoking cloud. Oh my god, baby, I'm so